Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Kilmarnock away at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, oddly enough, pre-match podcast on December 6th. Joining me to run the rule over the fixture, I have the ever-present Doug and one of our graphics gurus for the journal as well. Mate, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. Always an odd one having a late kick-off on a Saturday, but here we are.
Yeah, it's very strange, and it's for an away fixture on a Saturday. I know Christmas time, December time, Sky try and squeeze in as many games as they can. I'm assuming this game is on Sky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that probably explains that. Yeah, we're just waiting on the lineup being announced.
it's just come out. I'm just converting it into a slide for us.
I'll let Doug carry on and do that then. Is there any changes? Have you got a quick glance at it? Are you expecting any changes?
It looks pretty similar on quick glance.
I think I know on the Facebook post, I know Cammy had said he's expecting an unchanged lineup, and I thought they might maybe one or two changes.
In fact, I've noticed one change very, very important to me.
Oh no, his tab dropped, does he?
It's called rested.
There you have it, folks. Exclusive here. Tab's been rested. I know he didn't have the best game on the weekend, during the weekend on Wednesday night against Dundee United, and obviously Aaron's come on and won the penalty. So we'll run through it here as Doug's put it up with Butland, Arns, and for Tab, as we say, Giga Fernandez kind of expected. Magoma expected. I was hoping Magoma would stay after his howitzer goal. Raskin, Barn, expected those two to start. Diomande for me is a bit of a surprise because he's just not in any sort of form at the moment. Gassama and Basham and Miowski, so he stick with the front three there from Wednesday night as well. Doug, obviously the big talking point is Tav. How are you feeling? Are you okay?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we've long talked about the Tav needing to be playing less football. I think part of the reason that we do start seeing errors in Tav game is the fact that he is getting older, but yet he still constantly plays. And the man, as I say, he's averaged over 51 games per season for 10 seasons in a row, which is a ludicrous amount of football for anyone to be playing. And there's not many players that, I mean, obviously Tav still performs to a reasonable level most of the time, and there's not many players that can continue doing that. But like you say, it's good to use the squad. He didn't have a good game against Dundee United. He was poor by his standards. As I say, normally, even if Tav's not like scoring or things like that, he's normally really involved in the creative play and sets up a lot of chances. But he didn't really set up much against Dundee United. So I think he's maybe just had a look at it and thought, okay, well, maybe just give him a rest and brought Aarons in, because I know a lot of people are really not a fan of Aarons, and he did have a very poor start, but I think he's been fine under Roll. He doesn't offer necessarily a huge amount going forward, but he's been okay enough defensively, and at the end of the day, that's fine. Well, I say that. When we're so devoid of creativity, maybe not, but as long as he's going to be solid, I think we can still make use of Aarons this season. I'm kind of hoping that he's one that will kind of just be able to tread water for the season so that we can kind of focus on other things in January. I know people kind of want us to send back pretty much every loan, but I don't think it's realistic to do that. And I kind of feel like he's one that, if we can keep just kind of using him and Tav together, that, we can kind of cover that until next year when and then in the summer look at it properly.
Yeah, well, this is it. As you say, there's a lot of folk clambering to get folk sent back, and I can understand where they're coming from, given the overall picture of the season as it is. Aarons again, for all his faults, he's contributing and he's impacting games. You know, he got his points against Livy away, that kept Russell Martin in the job probably a couple of weeks longer. He obviously got the penalty at the death there on Wednesday as well. I do get people's frustrations, as you say, going forward. The creativity side's probably not there, but you know, when you're playing him out of position and he's playing on that left hand side, and he's going to obviously check back and use his right foot. But then the caveat of that is if you switch him to the right when he brings Magoma on, you know, Magoma's comfortable on that left side, and then he comes in for the right. So I think there's much more to come from Arns. He was certainly one I was excited about when he came in. It doesn't seem as a bit of a coup, but I think it was ones that he probably could have went and played for a decent championship team. Because he's got that.
Yeah, definitely.
And anyway, he was on loan at Valencia last season as well, wasn't he? At some point,
yep.
So you know, he's got a good pedigree about him. I just think playing him out of position at the start of the season's probably done him no favors. For his confidence, for his try to play through it, plus also the fans getting on his back as well. Touching on the midfield, then Raskin, Barn, Diomande, Raskin and Barn. Obviously, they're picking themselves in the moment, particularly Barn. Barn seems to be on a good upward trajectory, especially after the success with the World Cup with Scotland and stuff like that. I kind of thought that's kind of spurred him on, and I'm sure Clark's in his ear telling him you need to kick on and do as much as you can, because obviously he wants to take him to the World Cup. Diomande, for me, it's a toss-up between him and Asgard or Cameron. Now, both Diomande and Asgard, for me, are bang out of form, rotten at the moment. And I'm been screaming on the Facebook for Cameron to get a start. And I was hoping this would be the game, but obviously not. What's your thoughts in the midfield?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm a big fan of Lyle Cameron. I was really excited about him coming in, and I would like to see him get an opportunity, hopefully soon. As I say, Diomande at the beginning of the season, he was the player I picked out that I was like, if Cameron kicks off, I could see him taking Diomande's position, because Diomande can be up and down. He's good some weeks, he's bad in other weeks, and he doesn't quite get the numbers I would like to see from the more attacking midfielder, which, in that three he probably is. I think Raskin and Barron has played his way into being a first team player in recent weeks, I think. So no surprise to see him there. And obviously Raskin's kind of the main man. So although he's not been in the best of form, I think he's pretty much always near enough one of the first ones on the team sheet anyway. So the midfield doesn't surprise me. As I say, I would have maybe liked to have seen Cameron, and hopefully he gets a chance off the bench. As I say, he's the only one now that's not really, I think, had at least a few minutes from the bench. Curtis got off on the other game for a wee bit of time. So I would definitely hope that we can maybe see him today and he gets an opportunity to show what he can do.
Well, this is it. Like you say, he's proven in this league, particularly in that Dundee team last year. He was flying, and you can understand why we obviously made the move for him, particularly early on, because he was at that point flying for that Dundee team. So it made sense. Moving on then to the front three: Gassama, Bajrami, Miovski. Gassama, you kind of know what you're going to get, don't you, with Gassama at the moment? I know, again, it's a bit frustrating at times, but the quality's there. He has the ability to change games, score goals. Bajrami's started to play himself into a bit of form as well. The penalty, but the death, he done well to. I was going to say it took a set of stones to do that, but then obviously you've seen the picture of the celebration where he's grabbing onto that, grabbing onto them. So he's definitely shown he's got a bit of character now, which I didn't think he was shown, last season at the start of this season. And Miovski again, as folks in the comments, he could do with a goal. Hopefully this is a game where he gets it, get up and running, and try and play into a bit of form and try and make that number 9 spot his own.
Yeah, so I think the front three, I was going to say pick themselves, but I suppose you could argue that anyone could be up front. I did see there's someone saying in the comments there about Sterling not being on the bench. That plastic pitch will exactly be the reason I would imagine he's not on the bench. They probably won't want him anywhere near that. But back to Gassama. I mean, again, Gassama I think picks himself. He's our only primary creative output in the sort of attacking line that's kind of I don't want to go so far as to say he's been on form, because if he was on form, I think he'd have more goals and assists. But he does create, as much as he's a frustration and he's not achieving that last step yet. He still does. He's the one the defenders will be thinking about, because he's the one that's running and kind of bulldozes past and tries to get past players. So, he's that creative spark of the team that, he is sparking. He's just not creating fire yet, and that's what we kind of need him to get to. So he kind of picks himself, much like Baron. Pashrami obviously has played himself into the team, and hopefully he'll continue to perform. And when it comes to who goes up front, I think you can pretty much just roll the dice and then just put on whoever. I do think Miovski probably has got the most chance of coming good if it was to be one of the three. Trimiti just he just looks like he's not a great player. He's got the physicality, he's got some of the raw things that you would think could help him to be a success in the SPL, but when it comes to the actual striker side of it, he just doesn't seem to have it. And obviously Danilo. He's fine, but just not consistent enough. You played Danilo across a season, he will get you a handful of goals, but not as many goals as we need. So with Miovski's history in the league, and as I say, I think he's probably the one to bank on, and the one I would probably be playing as the starter, because as I say, I think he's got the most chance of coming good. He didn't score the other day, but he did get the assist for Diamandi's goal. So he's in there. So yeah, I think again, the thing is, with all their interest and everything else, there's not a huge amount of swaps, other than, let's say, obviously everyone is wanting to see Cameron and Curtis, but there's not a huge amount of swaps that are really there to be desperately made. The only other one, obviously, I think the other sort of newsworthy thing there is that Moore is back on the bench, which is good to see. Once he's fully fit, I think he would probably be in the team. Although if you've got Gassama there and a performing Bashrami, the decision then becomes, well, where does Moore fit in? So that could be an interesting decision for him in the future, depending on how things are going.
Yep, no, spot on. Just to pick this comment, Dougie, Ryan, one of our regulars in the podcast, particularly on Monday night, has said that Danilo is his worst pound per pound striker that Rangers have ever bought in terms of value for money. So trust me, Danilo gets plenty of criticism during the other pods. Looking at the bench, then, it's just we touched on it. It's good to see Mikey Moore back. As I was saying, I think it was the members pod last week, I was saying that it's typical that a young guy like him starts to play his way, finds his form, finds where he fits into this team, and starts providing and contributing. And then the international break hits, and then he gets hit with a wee niggly injury, and that means he can't keep that run going and that good form going, and he kind of has to start from scratch again. So hoping tonight he comes in and at least gets some minutes. Asgard is one of those ones that, again, he's a bit of Marmite between the fans. He has quality, we have seen it, but again, like most of the team and most of the players, it's in glimpses. It's not consistent enough, and it's not warranting him to start the game or start a couple of games on the bounce. And they say Curtis, Doug speaks for himself, doesn't he? We can see what he can bring. Just can't really seem to get a game under roll, which I think is causing a lot of frustration for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I do think there's a little bit of the old. He becomes a better player with every game he doesn't play. He came in and obviously start of the season kind of like Gassama. He kind of came in a bit of a blaze of glory. Scored a couple of goals, and goal in Europe, winning goal against St Mirren. I forget who his third one was against, but he's got the 3 goals, which depressingly still makes him, I think, the third top scorer in the team right now. That was it. The 4th goal against Alloa. So he's come in, he's got a couple of goals, and obviously, and in particular, how good that European one was, and the fact that the St Mirren one was a defining goal to win a point. They're goals that resonated as well. They weren't all just goals like Alloa, it's just like a fourth and a 4-2. So they were goals that resonated, and so there is a little bit of, I think, as I say, folk have built him up. He has come on. There was games that he came on where he wasn't as effective. I'm just trying to remember the one in particular I was thinking of. And I think people have a tendency to kind of forget those ones. So, like the minutes he got against Celtic, Hibs in the League Cup, he was like fine. But was that one? Am I thinking of something else? But I think the thing that Roll is probably concerned about, or I would at least would assume, is a lot of the games we've had are tough games. We're in a period of time where we have to win these games. They're tough matches that we're going into, and I'm putting young players into that scenario can potentially be sink or swim. Ultimately, if you're a manager and you're in a position like you are when you're the Rangers manager, which is I must win every game, who are you most likely to put your faith behind? Players who are maybe not performing but are ultimately like internationals, have certain amounts of experience, or your youth player. So I think it's probably a bit of that, because it's not as if Rowe's the first manager to not play a young player we've wanted to see more of. And I think that just tends to be the way these things shake out, is that, a player like Asgard that plays for the Norwegian national team, goes away scoring 4 times. You're looking at that and going, right, he's not playing well, but maybe I'm going to persevere with him a little bit more, try a bit in the coaching side and stuff, before we see the younger players getting in. And it's a shame, but it is it's kind of the catch-22 of our club, really, I think, because I think that's been the case throughout history, is that I think managers have tended not to play younger players because the risk is higher that it leads to not winning, which is ultimately the issue. There's a wee comment there from, if I just pop this comment up here from, it moved. I hate when it moves. From Stevie. Carson have minutes off the bench lately. You can't make a difference with 5 minutes to go. Well, that's kind of exactly what he did in St Mirren. He came on late in the game. I don't know if it was as short as 5 minutes. It wasn't as short as 5 minutes, but that was one of the reasons he's popular, is because he's come in late in the games and has made a difference. Yeah. And I kind of wonder if maybe Rowe does maybe see him a little bit more like that. He's like, okay, if we're struggling, I can bring him on and maybe he'll make a difference. But it would be good to see him get more minutes. Let's just say, as much as everyone, I'm a fan of the idea of seeing our own young players break through. There's nothing better than a young GR breaking through and living the dream, and you can kind of live vicariously through seeing how much they enjoy playing for the team. But I think we'll probably just have to be patient, because the time you're most likely to see young players play is when things are going well. And unfortunately, that's been a while for us at the moment, so it's more difficult to get them in. Or conversely, when things are going horrendous, and you've got a billion injuries, because that's when King and McCausland got their chances. So all we need is another 2 or 3 injuries, and Curtis will be a starter. So
well, that's it. I mean, and ideally with that, I don't know. You obviously don't want your players to get injured, but looking at where we were at in December, and all the run of games we've got coming up, I think injuries is going to be part and parcel of it. I think we're going to expect a few of the ones, particularly up front, midfield and up front, maybe start picking up knocks and stuff as it is. It's a busy schedule, and then we're coming into then window time. So it will be interesting to see how we operate, particularly early on in the window, because ideally players come in early and can get into the team and can start impacting and for positive impact on the team, because the team's crying out for for a bit of freshness, I think. And it's strange saying that, because we had 13 new faces come in over the summer, which is it's crazy. Or is it 11? It's as high as that's been 13, but it's crazy numbers for a switch round in a squad for us. Looking ahead to Kilmarnock themselves, then we'll take away the squad. If I can get back to that. Actually, I looked at our last 10 games against Kilmarnock, and our win ratio is actually not too bad. The last 3 games, we've won on the bounce. So we had 3-1 obviously at home in October, and then the February, which was the crazy 4-2 game way by as a manager, and then the December game was a 6-0, which I think kind of surprised everybody. And then you're going back to October, October 2020, October 20th, 2024 was a 1-0 loss, and that was at home, Ibrox. So our form against them is quite good. I think people more so fear the pitch and the unpredictability of the pitch, particularly when it comes to the way the ball behaves, but also in terms of how players react to the pitch as well. Because there'll be a lot of these guys that are in the team probably haven't seen a plastic pitch like this before, maybe only in training, not playing a match, you know.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've always had a bit of a I don't have as much truck with the argument about plastic pitches because, in my opinion, these are professional footballers, and if I can play on a plastic pitch, then I'm sure they can manage. It's kind of the approach I take to it. And like you say, they do have. It's not as if they don't ever play on them. They've got them at Auchenhowie to train on. Specifically for the reasons that other clubs use them, because they can be all weather and you can use them in the winter and things like that.
Yep.
So it's not as if they can't be like 2 weeks ahead of the Kilmarnock game going, right, we're playing Kilmarnock in 2 weeks, let's do extra training on the all-weather pitches in preparation sort of thing. I'm totally fine with the fact that it obviously does make a difference, and they will need to account for that difference. So like you say, the ball will bounce differently, and you'll get, if it's raining, it'll be extra slick, and certain things like that. It'll hurt a little bit more when you fall over. All of that's fine. But again, these are the people that are meant to be the best at football, so they should be able to, as I say, account for that when they go out to play. So I'll give them the first 10, 15 minutes to get used to it, but then after that, I expect them to be say maybe not 100%, but certainly 95% themselves, because, like I say, they are pros.
Well, that's it. This is it. What's your predictions then for the game? What are you thinking?
Let's see. Like you said, we have got a tendency to score a few against Kilmarnock, so I'm gonna hope that we go out with Kilmarnock are at the bottom end of the league table as well right now. So I'm going to say 3-0. Let's say that we show all the creativity and the drive of the Dundee United game, but this time actually score properly. So yeah, let's go for 3. Well, 3-1 because our defense can't be trusted. So yeah, 3-1.
You stole my. I'm going to say 3-1 as well, because I think obviously if you go back to Falkirk game and look at the how we played against Falkirk at Ibrox and how we played against Dundee United away. I mean, the 32 shots, the chance creation was just through the roof, and it was just ultimately poor finishing. It's cost us the 3 points. I think that our form will carry on. I do think we'll have plenty of chances. It's just up for the players to take them. So I'm going to go 3-1 for myself as well. Folks, I will be doing the post-match analysis as well. I think I've got Chris on with me. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. Enjoy the game, everybody. And just before we go, I'd just like to give a wee shout out to our pod sponsor, where I think Colin is actually there at the moment. I think he's watching the game in the bar, which is the Bluebells bar in Puerto del Carmen. They are pod sponsors. Bluebells is a family-friendly pub where you can eat, drink, chill, and party. And as I just said, they show every Rangers game live. There's nothing better than sitting overlooking the ocean with a beer or cocktail, whatever your tipple is. And if it gets too hot, you can always just jump in the shade and cool yourself down there too as well. So if you're in Lanzarote, head over, give them a shout. And that's it, folks. Enjoy the game. And if you want to join us for the post-match analysis, please, I'll see you then. See you around 10 o'clock. All the best.